Hi, part 3 of the YouTube channel 2 car bonnets and 1 car roof, my journey to include motorway riding, hazard avoidance, braking, steering techniques and filtering. First, the legal bit. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm an idiot. Do not do as I suggest. Consult experts and do your own research before considering doing anything mentioned here. Caveat emptor. All opinions expressed by me are my own, all rights reserved. All comments made by me are allegedly. This video may contain offensive biker humour. I don't think it does actually, it's a bit short on that. Anyhow. Descriptions of bloody accidents I've witnessed. Errors and omissions accepted, as the shiny, expensive Italian suit wearing politicians may say. Yeah. Hi boys and girls. It's the Trust Me, I'm a DR again. Dispatch rider. I want to add to the previous 2 vids some bits I missed and to add to your knowledge if I may. If you're an experienced biker, this is aimed at this year's new riders. Having said that, I'd welcome your comments if we make a common effort to reduce our road toll. Congrats by the way if you've survived on the road so far this year. You're over the worst part of the learning curve and things can only get better for you now, provided you do not become overconfident. Arrogance is always followed by a fall. You can't relax yet. Right, motorway driving. I've been holding off this topic, deliberately probably. It will be controversial. This weekend's wipeout of a rider at Rimba has prompted it. I heard he went to hospital. I wish him all the best. I would start with a short dialogue about how our M1 evolved. It started in the mid-60s, when cars averaged 50 horsepower engines and took 23 seconds to hit 100 kph. It grew in the 70s and 80s to come into our region. It used to be the freeway, the F3. I first went up it in 81. And our older existing roads were adapted to fit it. Unable to cope with the volume of traffic, it has widened in places in the 2010s. Such that it has become what is now probably the worst designed and implemented motorway it's ever been my misfortune to travel on. It has everything that a bad road consists of. Blind high-speed corners, short on-ramps, long on-ramps, queues forming for exit ramps on bends, broken and sunken road surface, splits between the carriageways, lack of drainage, poor lighting, lousy signage, trucks allowed in the far right lane, reground road surfaces. The original road surface is still in situ. It's incredibly slippery when wet. Incredibly steep hills and long descents. Traffic volume in places 3 times that which it was designed for. Undertaking is permitted. Many drivers just sit in the middle lane at 100 kph, acting as a block to that lane. It is under-policed. The policing performed is revenue raising, not safety centred. In addition, it is an interstate route. Yeah, there's a lot of police about this weekend, so be careful. With few rest spots. The vehicles using it are either new or poorly maintained old ones. Stir into the pot, L drivers that are speed limited, and P platers that are also speed limited. A hard shoulder that is too narrow to allow say, a car driver to safely change an offside tyre without being in the near side lane. There's also cycle lanes on it. Then there are the frequent lane closures for roadworks. Speed restrictions therein. Parts of this motorway were built to take a 38-tonne truck. Some parts were built to take a military standard truck of 90 tonnes. You will often find unaccompanied 120-tonne trucks traversing it. Some of them barely manage 20 kph up the hills. Then they do 120 kph down the other side. In addition to this, the central reservation is predominantly fenced by a cheese wire safety barrier, designed to cut a rider into thirds if impacted on. The truckies on it appear to rule the roost. They pull out with impunity. They appear to be racing one another. They can be occupying all lanes at once and have no minimum speeds. If the weather is bad, they speed up, creating a whiteout behind them. If it is foggy, they drive as normal. If there are roadworks ahead with speed restrictions, instead of leading traffic through at a legal speed, they speed through the restrictions. If a work queue sees a roadworks and a speed restriction, they actually drop a gear to speed through it. Short access ramps mean vehicles join the motorway at slow non-motorway speeds. Some are situated just after blind bends. Long access ramps means cars can hit 140 kph before they join the motorway. whereupon they cross all lanes of traffic at once to immediately join the far right carriageway. Urumbark Junction is an example of this. Having stated all this, how does an experienced new rider cope with it? Well, it's poorly in my experience. I saw a young rider waiting anxiously at a motorway junction. He was still there waiting 40 minutes later. I could hear the ambulances in the distance on the M1. 3 riders died that day, I saw reported. Look, I realise you will need to use this motorway. You have to understand, it is deadly, especially in peak hours. Traffic moves down the motorway system in a sine wave, like a caterpillar crawling. If you have to use this motorway as a newbie, get a car driver to follow you to protect your rear end for the first trip. Learn where the potholes and carriageway splits are. Learn to join the middle lane on the blind bends to give you more options if the way ahead is blocked. Look down the access ramps for vehicles joining from behind you. Time your trip to avoid peak hour, as it is not a sine wave then, just solid traffic. A sine wave is peaks and troughs. So a speed restricted rider, you can time your riding to coincide with a trough. You will be overtaken by waves of fast moving traffic, but it is possible by controlling your speed to find a sweet spot, aligning the traffic that will give you a safe braking distance in front and have a non-aggressive driver behind you. Don't be afraid to use a hard shoulder if you have nowhere else to go. You have to realise you are very vulnerable on a motorway. Always use the full width of the road. Entitlement will get you killed. The other road users do not care about you, and most will not see you. Do not fall into the trap of complacency. The drivers out there can and will kill you if you let them. We as riders do not have a political base like the cyclists do, so our road using rights are minimal. In addition, we are not well liked by the legal profession, so you may find little redress there, either in the compensation claim. Your life is truly in your own hands on the M1, so make your observation of what is occurring around you your priority, not attracting the attention of a pretty girl in the passenger seat of her boyfriend's ride. Boys, it's not a racetrack. If you get done for speeding on it, I have no sympathy for you. It's a stupid place to speed. It's cambered up. The road surface is very poor, so stopping distances are longer. Frankly, it's much better if you stay off the M1 as much as possible. Let's talk about braking. I take it you already know how to use a rear brake. Just use it when it's wet, when the road's wet. To pulse the front brake application in wet conditions if you need it. In dry conditions, put on the front brake first, followed by the rear brake. The braking power is split 60-40 front to rear. At bikes take 3 times longer to stop than cars, and how to brake your bike by down changing the gearbox. That you can upgrade your brakes with braided steel brake lines, racing pads and discs. How can you stop on a motorway? Well, the short answer is you can't. A bike's stopping distance at motorway speeds means you have to go around the obstacle. You cannot stop in time. What follows now are advanced techniques, and I don't recommend anyone tries these, okay? Find a deserted bit of dry road. Measure your braking distance from a sensible speed, operating the brakes in a conventional manner. Then perhaps try this, okay? Apply the rear brake hard. Don't lock the wheel up. The bike will dig down deep on its front forks. Release the rear brake and pull the front brake on hard without locking the front wheel up. And repeat that 5 or 6 times. Does the bike stop a metre quicker? Enough to stop you impacting that panel van that just pulled across your path? Let me know. The improvement in a shorter braking distance is due to the losses in the bike's momentum, to inertia of the wheels when slowing and starting up turning again. Did you know you can steer your bike using the brakes? This is useful when heavily loaded or in adverse strong winds or the wet. Putting the front brake on pulls the bike to the right a few degrees. Applying the rear brake pulls it less evidently to the left. If you are leaned over whilst cornering and find a child in the road or another obstacle, you can use the front brake to pop upright and steer around it. So when you put the front brake on, the bike will come upwards. If it is a pothole, you can steer around it using the brakes if you are maxed out on lean. Don't neglect your brakes. Different tyre choices will also affect your stopping distances. Some tyres are good for high mileages, but they're lousy for handling and braking. Clean the disc regularly with a bit of methyl and a rag. Especially do it if you've been out in the wet, as they get coated with diesel oil from the water. If they fade in hot weather, you have to change the brake fluid. Steering a bike is done by your body. Don't try and get your knee down on a public road. I can tell you the magistrates hate that more than anything. Yeah, don't ask. Did you know you can counter steer your bike in a bend? You might have seen a MotoGP star do it in slow motion, as I did on Instagram. They also pulse the front brake to get the bike back upright again quickly. Counter steer is good in dry conditions as the rear wheel forms the axis of the bike. It's turned then, and the turn radius is reduced, such that the bike turns more quickly. It is good for holding a line around a bend. Learn to do it on a bicycle first before you try it on a motorbike, I suggest. You may find you're already instinctively doing it without realising it anyway. It's a useful hazard avoidance tool, I find, because it pulls you in real tight to the bend. Put simply, as the bike heels over in the turn, briefly point the front wheel the wrong way, and that'll draw the bike into the turn tighter due to centripetal force on the gyroscope of the spinning wheels seeking the centre of the curve. This is an advanced technique, so be careful how you apply it. I'd like to add just one more thing. Colombo fans may recognise this as a coup de grace. Filtering on a motorway. Well, I used to filter the M25 on the white line adjacent to the hard shoulder. I've seen the locals ride up to Newcastle on the hard shoulder. I wouldn't recommend either techniques, especially where the cameras are. Car drivers will pull over without looking to stop traffic just to let the dog out. Our car drivers will close the central gap if they think bikes are coming up. Fine, stop, back up. Go behind that car and filter up either side of it. Stay away from the wire safety barrier. Avoid road rage. Watch carefully for nails and debris on the unused carriageway that is untraversed by other traffic. White lines are bumpy, slippery and diesel trapping, so be careful. Avoid filtering at all if you possibly can. It's better to wait and follow a more experienced rider through, I found when I was learning. A loud grip is much safer with headlights on. If you are filtering and the car comes across towards you on a normal road from the opposing traffic stream and closes the gap you're aiming at, give the driver the same look that's reminiscent of the hot chick in the music video I've Got Ye, somebody I used to know, the one she gives her ex-boyfriend, such that the driver realises that you are clocking him for future reference. They generally back off if they think you will recognise them later. That's it, boys and girls. I put up a Facebook page called New South Wales New Motorcyclist Buyer's Guide and Riding Tips, and there's a YouTube channel, 2 car bonnets and 1 car roof, if you wish to gasp in dismay at my other videos. I'm not doing it for the money, I just want to pass on some of my knowledge if I can help you to start biking. Be lucky out there. Thank you.